Reflection 1. Too much to do. Mark 6:30 and 31. The apostles then rendezvoused with Jesus and reported on all they had done and taught. Jesus said, "Come off by yourselves. Let's take a break and get a little rest." For there was constant coming and going. They didn't even have time to eat. Mark 6:30 and 31. Do you ever feel like you're living your life inside a blender with the button stuck on pulse? When my husband Mike and I started out in ministry over 40 years ago, advice for clergy families focused on surviving life in the fishbowl. Those were the days when pastors' families usually lived in a parsonage or manse that was either attached to the church or located nearby. Mike's Aunt Alice recalls the time she and her pastor husband, Russ, lived in an apartment in the back of a Methodist church in rural Pennsylvania. A door behind the organ in the back of the sanctuary led directly into their quarters. Early one Sunday morning, Russ forgot to relock it after he left early to prepare for the service. Alice was ironing in their kitchen, wearing nothing but her slip, when a parishioner walked in looking to borrow utensils. "I didn't mind living in a fishbowl," Alice says, laughing, "but I preferred to do it with my clothes on." Family life today resembles more a blender than a fishbowl. The problem is not so much that others are watching us, but that we're barely keeping up with ourselves. We are exhausted from the continual whirl of family, volunteer, and work responsibilities. Our lives are running on high speed, and we have little hope of either slowing down or catching up. Do you have more than one email account to monitor? How about a status to update, networking requests to approve, and social media posts to keep current? Even email doesn't move fast enough for some. Want to stay in touch with your kids? Better text or use their favorite app. Technology has blurred the boundaries between night and day, work and home. Think you're caught up when you leave the office at 5 or 6 p.m.? Not when colleagues, desperate to empty their own inboxes, dump documents and dilemmas on your virtual desk all night long. When we live life at blender speed, is there any off button? With so many needs to care for, how do we connect with the needs of our own souls? I use a 3D concept that works well much of the time. Decide, delegate, and delete. Decide what's really important. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? Greek, the language of the New Testament, uses two distinct words for our English concept of time. Chronos, from which we derive the word chronology, is clock time. Each of us has the same amount, 24 hours in a day. Kairos is human time, the time we make and take for our purposes. Chronos is a given, determined by God. But Kairos is a moral choice we make every hour of the day. When our kids were young, and I worked out of our home on Cape Cod, I gladly relinquished their care to their dad as soon as he arrived home each evening. While Mike and the kids read or played, I hopped on the computer to prepare talks or plan conferences for the regional ministry I directed. Nothing guilt-inducing there. Our family functioned as a team, and teams make trade-offs. One evening, I was about to return a long list of calls when I glanced out the kitchen window, arrested by the sight of snow drifting down as the kids lobbed snowballs at their dad. They were shrieking with joy, but I was missing out. Dropping the phone, I pulled on boots and a jacket and hurried outside. Later that evening, as Mike tucked our 8-year-old into bed, Adam looked up with shining eyes and said, "Dad, we had the bestest time when Mom came out." How easily I could have missed that moment. How often have I missed others? Delegate. I know, easy to say and hard to do. We feel like we're imposing when we ask others to handle responsibilities, or we fear the task won't be done right, if it's done at all. When we're living life at blender speed, it seems easier to just do things ourselves. But we trust toddlers with certain tasks. Picking up their toys, putting on their shoes. We should be able to trust big people, too. Delegation is key to mentoring and mothering both. How do we do it? by providing others the opportunity to do a task, the authority to carry it out, the skills or training necessary, and the accountability that comes with faithful follow-up. Delete. Remember the old clunker about home organization? If in doubt, throw it out. Those words apply to more than possessions. A schedule crowded with morning to midnight commitments leaves no room for the spiritual formation that needs to take place in our inner being. In her description of living for a time among the Amish, writer Sue Bender commented, "The Amish often leave a space, a seeming mistake in the midst of their well-thought-out plans, to serve as an opening to let the Spirit come in." Is living life at blender speed making you nauseated? Even blenders have different settings and slower speeds. Decide what God would have you, and only you, do in this season of your life. Delete other activities. Delegate the rest. In Lean In, Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg's best-selling book on women in leadership, Sandberg writes that the coining of the phrase, "having it all," is perhaps the greatest trap ever set for women. These 3 little words are intended to be aspirational, but instead make all of us feel like we've fallen short. Life pulses with opportunities, but we don't have to embrace them all at one time. There's more to life than increasing its speed. Points of connection. Number 1. Can you identify with the Mark 6:30-31 account of the apostles who were dealing with so much coming and going that they didn't even have time to eat? How can Jesus' advice to his followers apply to the pace of your life today? Consider some practical ways you can carve out 5 minutes of quiet a day, an hour each week, or a day each month. Number 2. When she's out of the office, my friend Robin sometimes leaves an out-of-office message indicating she won't be answering calls or emails while on vacation. KNOW, phone. NO, peace. NO, phone. KNOW, peace. If you're not in a position to totally unplug, what measures can you take to guard the margins in your life? Number 3. A simple prayer based on Ephesians 5:15 that has helped me might become yours as well. Lord, show me how to use my time wisely and well. Lifeline. Life pulses with opportunities, but we don't have to embrace them all at the same time.